Six Nations 2024, folks. Round number 3 is done. We are more than halfway through the competition, and only one team remains unbeaten, and that is Ireland. France looking a little bit shaky. Scotland will be kind of ruining that final decision from a couple of weeks ago, but still in the race. We're going to go through 5 players from round 3 that I think played particularly well, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on which 5 you would pick if you were narrowing it down to a kind of weekly shortlist. Now, happily, folks, this episode is brought to you by our friends at eToro, the official investing and trading partner of Premiership Rugby. Tackle investing the smart way and join millions of UK investors on eToro today, the friendly platform for serious investors. eToro is a multi-asset investment platform. The value of your investment may go up or down. Your capital is at risk. But yeah, cheers to eToro. We are going to start with a pretty, I'm going to say, obvious Scotsman in Duhan van der Merwe, because he scored 3 tries. 3 tries. The only 3 tries for the Scots. All 3 came through Duhan. Gets on the end of a nice Finn Russell kick. That was maybe my favourite of the bunch. Hugh Jones set him up with a couple of other ones. One from turnover ball, one from a great line break. Absolute gas, absolute confidence. He just loves scoring against England. Slightly soured by the fact that he gets a yellow card at the end of the game. But I don't think it takes away enough to rule him out of the top 5 guys of the week, just because I don't think Scotland win the game without Duhan. He is an absolute X-Factor guy. And, just seems to play England more. He beat more defenders in that game than the previous 2 rounds combined. So there you go. I am going to put an Irishman, and I just love guys who get yellow cards, apparently. I'm going to go with Tyke Byrne as my second guy. Also got a yellow card and conceded a penalty try. So maybe that's not the ideal selection criteria for top 5 players of the week. But the dude was everywhere. You look for a ruck, Tyke Byrne's there. You look for the line-out maul try. Who wins the line-out? Bloody Tyke Byrne. You look for one of their top tacklers, Tyke Byrne. Does he score a try? Yes, he does. Does he get flipping clean breaks as a lock? Yes, apparently. This is just part of his thing. And then, as soon as he comes on after that yellow card, he stops a Welsh maul. So I think despite the fact that he gets carded, his contribution still far outweighs that kind of one blot on his record for the week. So 2 of the yellow card picks for my picks for round 3. Now, if you've been keeping up with this 5 players of the round series, and thanks to our sponsor at eToro, we are building a perfect rugby player. Just like you can build your ideal portfolio with eToro, we're going to combine the skills of kicking, power, speed, defense, and leadership into something unstoppable on the rugby field. We've already had a look at defense with Paul Gustard. We had a look at kicking with Tim Stimpson. This week, we are looking at speed. And I was lucky to be joined by a proper Scottish legend in Chris Paterson, who picked out a player who he thinks has some proper top-end speed and kind of what that brings to the game. So this is what I spoke to with Chris earlier about some speed. Chris Paterson, good morning, good evening, mate. How is it going?
I'm very well, thanks. And how's you? You're looking well dressed, actually. Very well dressed. I like this.
Yeah, I put this on especially because I knew I was going to chat with you, and my wife, who is home today, she also commented that I was looking particularly dapper. So maybe we've won over. She's not really much of a rugby fan, but yeah, she did like the old Scotland kit. Now we've got you on, Chris, today because we're doing this kind of perfect player series. We've spoken to Paul Gustard, and he talked about a defensive player. We talked to Tim Stimpson. He talked a bit of kicking, which you're obviously pretty familiar with. But for you, we've given you the attribute to pick of speed. So, I mean, what is it about having that kind of genuine X-Factor pace man that is so important for teams these days?
So important. Vitally important for everyone. The speed can be obviously the physical speed, the sprinting speed, the speed of your leg, but the speed of mind is the first one I'd touch on. Being able to make quick decisions and then execute them with that speed is so important. Everybody knows roughly what everyone else is going to do at the moment in rugby. There's a lot of analysis. There's very little spontaneity. So if you can make a quick decision and act on it really quickly, then you're going to beat defences. But yeah, I think it manifests itself mainly when you think about speed as proper leg speed, flying, wingers, fullbacks, centres. There's some quick back row over the years as well. But yeah, proper speed with the ball in hand and in defence as well.
When you were playmaking back in the day, how nice was it to know that if you give it to one of these real kind of speed weapons, that they're going to be away?
Oh, I used to, with the quickest players I would play with, I would give them it as early as possible. Some players like the ball at the line. Some players liked you to try and make a half gap or pull some defenders on. If I knew someone had serious gas, I like to give the ball early, and then try my best to trail them, try and do the damage on that second touch. Because if players were so quick, they could get on the outside edge or they could pull away from a defender, and they would very rarely be hit in a dominant front on tackle because they were so quick. They'd get to an edge. So yeah, it was a case of give them the ball early and then just try as hard as you could to stay in the slipstream and pick up offloads and pick up tries.
Yeah, run that support line, let them do their thing. So we asked you to have a look at the kind of Six Nations squads at the moment and pick out one player who is, particularly making good use of that speed. So who did you end up picking, and what was the kind of reasons why?
Well, I've gone close to home in terms of nationality and position. I've gone for Blair Kinghorn. Plays fullback for Scotland, just signed. He plays in Toulouse now, former Edinburgh player, plays in Toulouse, and he is seriously quick. Tall, 6'3", 6'4", long stride, seriously quick with ball in hand. And it's just brilliant to see now with such lack of space in the game when there is half a gap. It seems to be a big gap that for him, because he accelerates through, gets away from that initial first line defence, and he gets those big long legs opened up. Really important as well in terms of, as a fullback, your defensive positioning. If you're slightly out of position, but you can make up someone going for a 50-22 effort or a crossfield kick, if you can make up 2 or 3 yards or even half a yard in defence when you have the speed to do so, it's so crucially important. And we've spoken about support lines as well. Like Blair gets in the end a lot of creative play from Finn Russell and Sione Tuipulotu, Hugh Jones, Darcy Graham, Kyle Steyn, even Duhan van der Merwe getting away. So with Blair's pace to support and getting the end of these offloads, it's pretty special to watch, I must admit.
I've seen the teams because as we record this, games haven't been played yet this weekend, but he's back in the lineup. So do you see that making a kind of big impact? Obviously, the two guys, Kyle Rowe and Harry Paterson, stepped in pretty well. But I mean, how good is it just to have him back at 15?
Oh, it's great. I mean, there was a late change for Kyle Rowe moving from wing to fullback, and then Harry Paterson came for his debut, as you say, against France, and both played really well. Brilliant for Scottish rugby. Brilliant for all three involved, because it means a genuine contest for that jersey. But having the experience of Blair back, he's over 50 caps, as he's playing in the top 14 and starring in the top 14. There's an aura around his presence. I say his height, his physicality, his size in the air. If he comes for some of the contestable kicks that I assume England will put up, George Ford he likes his spiral bomb. He likes his high contestable. So Blair having that presence, having that experience, and having that pace, hopefully points to a win for Scotland.
Yeah, well, they've gone into it as favourites, but with Blair, there's one thing, like he is one of those guys that almost kind of suffers due to his versatility. Like he's played 15, we've seen him on the wings, he's been tried at 10 for a while. Do you think 15, with that kind of bit of extra space, is where we get the most out of him?
Yeah, I think so. Space to roam. He grew up as a 10, as a first receiver, mainly through schoolboy rugby, and probably signed professionally straight out of school as a 10. So his distribution is actually excellent for somebody who's so long-limbed, if that makes sense. And playing last couple of seasons at 10 has added a real string to his bow, and his pace was exceptional. When we see quite a lot of attacking shapes, so the 9 hitting the 12 and reversing the ball out the back to the 10 on the loop, he scored so many tries for Edinburgh just getting that ball back and gassing defences. But I think with more space, the ability to scan at the back, his speed that allows him to cover up mistakes and make cover tackles. I think 15 is his best position. I love versatility in players. I think if you can pop up at first receiver, if we are 10 at one side of the ruck, you're 15 at the other, you can distribute, you've got a kicking game, he kicks goals. Yeah, but I think that space that he gets in the backfield just suits his attributes, and well, long may it continue.
Exactly right. Well, a Scotland and an Edinburgh pick for you, Chris. This may be a pretty fitting one, but thank you so much for your time, mate. Cheers for coming along, and it's getting pretty late, so I guess we'll let you get to bed soon.
It's always a pleasure. Good to see you.
Cheers, mate. So yeah, cheers to Chris for coming along. It was good to get his insights into old Blair Kinghorn. Obviously, we made this pick prior to the games at the weekend, but it was good to see him back. He didn't really get any open space at the weekend, but he was certainly having to field a few high balls, which was pretty pleasing. He'll be looking to maybe clock up a few more run meters against the Italians. But right, let's move on. Top 5 players of the week. I would be remiss not to include an Italian, and I'm going to go with the captain, Michele Lamaro. Absolutely leads from the front. One of their top tacklers, him and I think Vincent, made something stupid like 18 tackles, and especially in that first half, when Italy were totally under the pump against a 15-man French side, you needed a guy like Lamaro making those tackles to keep the score, within touching distance. And that's what they did. I don't think without that big defensive shift, Italy is still in the game come the second half. And he loves getting his hands on the ball. He's really busy. He didn't have as many carries as maybe some of the other forwards in the Italian pack, but he gets his hands on the pill a lot. So, yeah, it's great to have a captain who leads by example, one of their top tacklers, and really just has huge involvement. So, yeah, good to see that from the Italian number 7. Now, I am going to go with another Italian. No, I'm going to go with another Irishman. How I got that around the wrong way, I'm not sure. I'm going to go with Bundy Aki. If I'm not mistaken, he got man of the match in his game. Not quite as hilarious as Duhan getting man of the match and 10 seconds later getting yellow carded, but Bundy Aki, man, his World Cup form is still very much there, isn't it? His involvements are massive. He breaks tackles, he makes tackles, he wins turnovers, he gets involved in mauls. He's there as one of your first guys over ruck ball when other people are carrying. He's just the massive of most massive work rates. He's a coach's dream, and he's powerful carrier, strong tackler. As I said, strong over the ball. What doesn't he do? He's in the form of his life. Unbelievable. He's having just a world-class 12 months. Is it longer? I don't know. Bundy Aki, top form. And then I'm going to chuck in another Scotsman here. I'm going to go with Hugh Jones. Finishes, as I said, kind of assisting 2 of Duhan's tries, one from quick turnover ball, one where he gets himself into a bit of space with a nice old line break. Defended well. I think he clocked up more than 10 tackles. So, yeah, that Scottish midfield with Tuipulotu and Jones, or as it finished the game, Redpath and Jones, or for a while it was Finn Russell and Jones. But, yeah, they look dangerous, which is really, really pleasing to see. Very, very sharp on attack and on defence. So, there you go. Top 5 players of the round. 2 Irish players, 2 Scotsmen, and an Italian. Plus Chris Paterson's pick for a speedy player as we build our way to the perfect player. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on what Chris had to say and the top 5 of the week. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.